Hello and welcome to Chaz's Cinema Corner, a spoiler-free look at the motion pictures. I'm talking talkies, I'm talking Tinseltown, and today I'm talking about Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, the new Shout Select Shout Studios Blu-ray release. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of Jack Black and Kyle Gass, let's get into the three things you want to hear from every single movie review. Number one, no, you don't need to be familiar with Tenacious D to watch this. I guess it helps, or it could perhaps not help. More on that in a bit. Two, no, the dog doesn't die. And three, yes, there is a post-credit sequence you should absolutely watch. Now, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny came out in November of 2006. It did not do well at all. What the movie is a faux biopic, because there were so many music biopics at the start of the new millennium. And this one was to sort of tell the origin of Tenacious D, about how they came together, how they had a falling out, and then they came back together at the end. It was directed by Liam Lynch, and people did not turn up to it at the box office. And looking at it from a historical context, because a lot of the reviews were calling it incredibly crass, which it is, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny was released a mere 2 or 3 weeks in some markets after the release of Borat, which was nothing short of a full-blown cultural phenomenon where movie theaters were having to book additional hours to stay open just to get in additional screenings because everybody wanted to see it. Yes, that was a filthy film. Yes, it's also considered a masterpiece at the time and now. And so there really wasn't much room for any other comedy, for that matter, to succeed at the box office. You can see how this affected the group, specifically Jack Black, in their November 2006 appearance on The Daily Show at what they refer to as the end of their promotional run, and Jack Black saying that, Citizen Kane was also a financial flop. And the D are still doing their best, but you can tell they feel dejected of people not going out to see the movie. And Jack Black went on to write in his memoirs how he went into a deep depression around this time, just not knowing why people didn't come to the theater to see them. It's understandable that there would be a dissonance there because while Jack Black was making that appearance on The Daily Show, that night the duo were going to perform for a sold-out Madison Square Garden for their live music concert. So now with the film making its Blu-ray debut and being able to watch it in a vacuum and properly contextualize what happened and seeing if the film can stand up on its own merits, it is essentially a clean state some 18 years after the fact, and, well, it is what it is. What's great about the Shout Select release is that you really have a moment captured in time of people wanting Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. You have a complete assortment of every extra you could possibly want. When the movie came out on DVD, different locations were giving specific different extras, like the DVD in Best Buy would have a bonus disc that had different extras than the DVD that came out at Walmart. Fortunately, this Shout Select Blu-ray release brings together every single extra that was between the two releases, as well as the complete uncut web series, The Hell O'Clock News, chronicling the making of the movie. So it's cool to have all of those together. Also, adding to the time capsule element is you have audio commentaries, one from Tenacious D themselves recorded the day of the premiere at the Chinese Theater, and you have one from director Liam Lynch going into the nuts and bolts of what he sounds so enthusiastic about being his baby. And I'll say both audio commentaries are incredibly enjoyable and, to be completely honest, better than the movie itself. Looking at this full collection now and watching the movie, and this is my first time personally speaking watching it since 2007, there are elements of it that hold up as being fantastic. There are also elements that have not aged well, and some that really at the time you can see drove people away. A lot of people remember the movie's opening as being phenomenal, a very in-depth life story of Jack Black that features Meatloaf and Ronnie James Dio. That is fantastic. What's not fantastic is just prior to that, you have an animated beginning to the movie, a short directed by John Kay, who created what Ren and Stimpy looked like, but not anything actually great about Ren and Stimpy themselves, as we've come to know. And you just have, even by lesser Ren and Stimpy standards, an uninspired fart and then weed joke, just really souring the mood. It's going from something so uninspired to something so inspired in the Meatloaf Dio number that really adds to the unsettling dissonance that comes with wrapping one's head around Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny. I think part of the movie's flaws too come from trying to essentially serve two masters, where you have to either recreate things from the original cult HBO series that launched their career, or do things that reference them to please that fan base who want that to come see it, but also present it in a way that's new for audiences who might not be familiar with any of it and could be completely lost. They don't go too far one way or the other, and the movie itself suffers for it. It's not quite doing the Monty Python and now for something completely different routine where they make the initial sketches from the old Flying Circus show bigger than ever. Here, it's just kind of there. On top of that, this was also a time when there was the beginning of somewhat of a Jack Black fatigue. He had very recently starred in King Kong, which is at that point the most expensive movie ever made. We're 2 years removed from the critically acclaimed, very well received School of Rock. So doing this, and people had still loved Tenacious D at that point, surrounded by new Tenacious D music and a new album, which really, to be blunt, did not have the thoughtful lyricism or catchiness or wit of the initial instant classic self-titled Tenacious D release. It just does not satisfy. The common defense of the movie is this is exactly what a Tenacious D movie should have been, and I don't know if people really considered that the case at the time. Maybe time has healed that wound, but when people want to see the D, they don't want to see them in long form struggling to get it together or having that sort of tension of breaking apart. The script that famously circulated before the Pick of Destiny was Tenacious D and the Lost City of Atlantis, a sort of full-on nautical adventure of Kyle and JB together. Frankly, I think that's what people would have wanted. I don't know, with budgetary constraints, if that would have been possible with New Line Cinema. Famously, Jack Black also took a tremendous pay cut to only $500,000, I believe, to appear in this movie. Something I think he split the $1 million with Kyle Gass. But when the things in Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny work, they really work, especially Amy Poehler's hilarious. Her extended scene in the deleted scenes is even better. And thankfully, it's all here on this Shout Select release. So is Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny worth watching? Yes. It's better than you remember, and especially when you take in the extras and you have things like the audio commentary that is Tenacious D in their prime cut, top shelf, absolute best. That is absolutely worth hearing and satisfying for devoted fans of the D as well as the D casuals and D curious alike. So, for Chaz's Cinema Corner, I am Chaz Kangas. Thanks for staying with me a little bit longer this time. I love popcorn, and I love you.